In this lesson, I'm going to talk about value. Value is the fundamental building block of strategic innovation. I define value as the quality obtained by the consumer relative to the price paid. But a critical point is that value is not objective value, but is psychological value as perceived by the consumers. Once you understand value, you can actually understand how to craft winning customer value propositions. The basic building block of strategic innovation is value. How do companies create value for their consumers? How do companies capture this value back from the customers? This could be through appropriate pricing. This could be through word of mouth. This could be through customer loyalty. This could be through referrals or enhanced customer equity. But the most important thing that you need to understand about value is psychological. Value is value that is perceived by the consumers. And it is usually given by the expression quality obtained given the price paid. A company needs to simultaneously value create and value capture well. A company that does the value creation part without the accompanying value appropriation is not likely to survive in the long run. In a similar vein, a company that does the value capture well but does not create value creation is again not likely to last in the long run. So a company has to do both well, execute the value creation and value capture part, because then it becomes actually a virtuous cycle that creates genuine long-term competitive advantage. A customer value proposition or a CVP is a statement that has three facets. What is the value that the product offers? Who's the target segment? And how are we reaching this particular segment? As far as the what part of the value offering is concerned, think of it as a statement. And the statement has to have the following three things. What are the bundle of benefits that your product is offering? And does your product actually alleviate the pain points that customers have? In case they feel some losses from a prospect theory perspective by adopting your product, does your product alleviate those losses? And last but not the least, it also highlights the favorable points of difference that actually delivers unique value. These favorable points of difference need not be explicitly mentioned, but they have to be implicit. The second facet is fairly obvious. Who's the target segment? Remember, crafting a customer value proposition is usually segment specific. So the third facet is how are we reaching the segments? So there are two unique characteristics here. You need to talk about what are the channels that you're going to use and what are the relationships you're going to employ. As far as the channels are concerned, it could be direct, or you could say I'm going to have intermediaries such as wholesalers and retailers in order to reach the customers. And as far as the relationships are concerned, you need to ask yourself, is it a transactive relationship? Is it a relationship-based business? Are we going to co-create communities for these customers? These are all the questions. So when you put the what, who, and how together, you get a customer value proposition. But more importantly, you have to understand the primary driver in a customer value proposition happens to be the what. And then you can see that the who and the hows will actually follow. Airport, please, Nick. Thank you. The value proposition of a taxi is taking a passenger to the destination. And on a crowded street, I can actually hail a taxi off the street. But in this particular case, where my trip was actually planned, I called the dispatcher and I asked for a cab at this point in time. And while the cab came on time, there is always a source of anxiety. Is the cab going to come on time? As they are coming to your home, where exactly are they? How long is it going to take? 1 minute, 2 minutes? But more importantly, when the cab comes in, you have to tell the destination. And when the cab ride is done, you have to pay using either cash or credit card. But the positives about a cab, especially a cab that is regulated by your local government and your state government, is the fact that the physical and the psychological safety of the passenger is guaranteed. As I'm getting into the airport, when it comes to crafting a value proposition, the what part of the value proposition, you need to be careful about two things. What are the pain points that you're alleviating, and what are the points of differentiation? Once you do this, the what part of the value proposition is usually well crafted. I'm back from my trip. Now I need to go home. And instead of taking an yellow cab taxi back home, I've ordered an Uber. I went to I have an app of Uber on my phone. I punched in my destination. I know who the driver is. The driver is highly rated. And I know exactly where the car is at this point in time. And it's about a minute away. And here is the Uber. This is a daily ritual for me. I have a need to be clean shaven. What I do is go to the store once a month and buy a bunch of cartridges that fit in with my razor. I've paid for this razor. I buy cartridges, and 4 cartridges cost me about $15 or so. So what in 2011 Dollar Shave Club did was flip this business model. Instead of people going and buying a razor and cartridges forever, they decided to follow a subscription model. You subscribe to a monthly plan with Dollar Shave Club. So they send you a razor handle and they send you cartridges every month. So they provided a cost-effective and affordable solution. You don't like your razor? Don't worry. There is a flexible razor plan. One of the pain points in a subscription model could be whether as a consumer you are locked into a contract. Dollar Shave Club said, no contracts, no commitments. The day you don't like it, just say you don't want to be a part of it, etc. The result is, today, they were bought out by Unilever for $1 billion. Tells you the power of innovative strategies and how innovation can actually create value. Customer needs are diverse. They are not homogeneous. For every segment, customers key in on an attribute or a rank-ordered set of attributes that can actually be represented by a bell curve. Take the case of the SUV market in the auto industry. People choose based on size. So when you represent size on a bell curve, the x-axis represents the size and the y-axis represents sales. About 130,000 non-luxury SUVs are sold in the United States each month. The middle part of the curve, i.e. the average size SUVs, 81,000 of them were sold. About 18,000 small SUVs and 33,000 large SUVs were sold. So if you are a company focused on the mass market, being in the center makes sense. But when you move away from the center, which is where there are abundant opportunities, there are opportunities as well. Choose a segment which happens to be a sweet spot with respect to your capabilities. Let's take the example of Trader Joe's, which is a grocery chain based in the United States. Trader Joe's opted not to reach a mass market, but went after the periphery by providing affordable products for health and diet-conscious shoppers. Its latest sales volumes are about $11 billion, and they have about 500 stores nationwide. Trader Joe's consistently tops the rankings in customer satisfaction, and the per store sales per square foot is one of the highest in the nation. So by virtue of going after a niche market and by virtue of not focused on the mass market, Trader Joe's has had a very successful strategy. Bottom line, on any bell curve, while it makes sense for you to go to the center, you have to understand there are innovative opportunities available at either the underserved end or the overserved end. As a company, you need to figure out what your sweet spot is, where you actually have the right to win, and you absolutely can win provided you reach the right segments. Dell delivered unique value by thinking and performing activities differently. Dell was commercialized in the mid 1980s. At that point in time, IBM was a dominant player in the market, and all major computer manufacturers sold their product through intermediaries because intermediaries did the activities of educating consumers, informing consumers, and persuading them to buy computers. When IBM was involved in a value differentiation focus, Dell focused on cost leadership. And when you think about the value chain, they sourced from suppliers at scale. They manufactured the items in-house, they assembled the computers, and then they bypassed the intermediaries completely. Given the fact that less than 5% of the US population had adopted the computers at that point in time, this was a major risky move, and some would say a counterintuitive move, because Dell lost the education function. But instead, Dell pursued a very innovative strategy by saying that they were going to focus on the 5% of the consumers who had already adopted the computers, therefore didn't need any education and persuasion. Therefore, by following a low-cost leadership strategy, by focusing on the operational excellence across the value chain, and by thinking very creatively, Dell created a very innovative strategy that made them the market dominant leader for the next 25 years or so in the personal computer industry.